Isekai villains suck. For a genre where the whole point is being transported to fun and interesting worlds, you'd think that the villains in those worlds would be just as interesting, but they lack everything that makes a villain interesting. An ideology, motivation, basic goals, a brain. Most of the time, isekai villains are just demons who are evil because, let's see, they're demons. They have no depth, no nuance. They're just evil because the plot says so. This is boring. But then I watched the Saga of Tanya the Evil, and instead of some cliche demon lord, I got Tanya the girl Shaft. Technically, she's the protagonist, yes, but make no mistake, she's a villain. She's cold, calculating, complex, has an actual personality, and a terrifying worldview. She's also 9, cause Japan. But despite that, she's easily one of the most compelling villains the genre has ever seen. Before she was this magical demon child, she was this guy. And unlike other isekai protagonists' past lives who are normally good people or neat losers, this guy's an asshole who thinks people should be willing to do anything to succeed, and if they aren't, they're weak and useless. Funny enough, it's this ideology that gets him murdered, but right before he becomes human paste, God, from the Bible, stops time and starts to talk to him, calling him out on being a bad person and basically telling him that he's going to hell. But for whatever reason, the salaryman decides that he's going to argue with God, telling him that only the weak and dire situations believe in faith, going on about how he doesn't really believe in God, so this voice can't be God. What? And starts calling the voice being X. What do you consider a dire situation? Because I think being hit by a train is pretty dire, so maybe just a tad bit of groveling could maybe help you in this situation, just a tiny amount. Being X, though, sees this as a challenge and goes, okay, all right, so you're saying if I was to maybe, reincarnate you into a world where you'll experience dire situations all the time, then you'll become a true believer, right?
I don't want to break any rules about rebirth or whatever you said. Wait, what?
Ooh, that was pretty dark, huh? But hey, if you made it this far, might as well hit that subscribe button. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. I would really appreciate it. Also, hit the like button. It really helps push the video out. I would appreciate both if you could. All right, let's get back into it. Being X then reincarnates the man into a world that is constantly at war as an orphan girl named Tanya, telling her that the only way to win the challenge is to die of old age. If she dies in any other way, her soul will be sent to hell. She can opt out of the challenge at any time as long as she becomes truly faithful to being X. But if she succeeds in dying a natural death, her soul will remain in the cycle of reincarnation. And it's not gonna be easy because immediately the country that she was born in, the totally not evil empire, wants to expand their borders, meaning they're about to go to war. And Tanya, realizing that because she's a dirty, smelly, poor orphan, her odds of surviving aren't that high. So she comes up with a really super simple plan. She's going to enlist into the military at the age of 9, because this world also has magic. And Tanya was born with a lot of mana, and the Empire, again, totally not evil, is looking for new mages. And they don't mind recruiting child soldiers if it means that they get powerful mages that help them win the war. Tanya does not give a shit about winning the war. She's motivated by one thing and one thing alone, proving being X wrong. And she's going to use the military to basically rise up into a position that will allow her to get away from the war. This was the stupidest plan that I have ever heard of. You're going to escape the war by going to war. There's no way that's gonna work ever in a million, and it's working.
Of your efforts, I'm proud to award you the Silver Wings Assault Badge. Congratulations. You deserve it. Hear, hear.
She's earning medals. She's rising to the ranks. She's becoming a national hero. She's doing fucking photo ops. Ref, do something. Oh, he's doing something. Being exercised to interfere just slightly because Tanya's doing a little too well. He has this whack job of a scientist make a new magical device that only Tanya can use. It makes her magic 10 times more powerful, but there's a caveat. She has to pray to him every single time she uses it, or she explodes. Where's the downside, you ask, other than her exploding if she doesn't pray to him every time she uses the magic? Well, see, the Empire also notices that her magic is now 10 times more powerful, and so they go, we're gonna send you on more dangerous missions on the front line. You know, the place that she was trying to avoid this entire time. This pisses Tanya off. She was really trying to quietly and safely climb the ladder as best as she could, but now she's constantly in battle. This is at the point where Tanya kind of shifts. She's still kind of an asshole. She's rude to a lot of the people under her because, again, she sees a lot of them who aren't willing to do what it takes to be useful to society or rise up through the military as useless and stupid. But now that her life is in constant danger, her ideology starts to really take hold on her actions. Because again, she's willing to do anything to complete her goal. And her goal right now is to survive, which at this point is very understandable. I was still rooting for Tanya at this point because I don't know about you, but I also don't want to die a painful death on some battlefield. Her misdeeds start off very small. She causes the death of 2 soldiers who are disobeying her orders by making sure they end up at a post that will get them killed, but makes it look like it wasn't her intention. That's an asshole move, but they were also kind of dicks, so, you know, fuck them. But her actions quickly escalate into the war crime department. Oh, excuse me. They're not war crimes, technically, because she finds legal loopholes in the wartime law to commit war crimes. The first time that she does this, her and her team are attacking a city and they're tasked with blowing up a munition factory. Now, they have to warn the people working in the factory so they can evacuate, but that means that the military will also know that an attack is about to occur on that factory. So, Tanya, not wanting to risk dying during this fight, decides to make the announcement herself, using her little 9-year-old voice. So the enemies don't take it seriously, but neither do the factory workers. But Tanya doesn't care. She feels that she has fulfilled her duty in warning them and orders that the factory be bombed, killing both civilians and military personnel. It was at this point that I realized that Tanya wasn't like similar characters in her genre, whereas someone like Ainz is kind of an anti-hero and he does regret some of the choices that he has to make. Tanya, on the other hand, is pure evil. So she's not playing a role. She doesn't regret her decisions. She's doing everything that she can to survive and rise up through the ranks. This is what really cemented Tanya as a great villain to me. She thinks that she's in the right. And this wasn't something that came as a shock. She was like this the entire time. This is just her ideology taking on a very extreme form. Tanya doesn't like war. She expresses that many times. She thinks that it's wasteful and useless and causes needless death, but she will conform and make herself useful because that's what her ideology is. If it helps complete her goal, she'll become a good little soldier who will follow any order. And I mean any order. Near the end of the war, the Empire orders that she fire on enemies that are retreating. The problem with this is the enemies are also helping civilians evacuate the city. To fire on those enemies, they will also have to fire on civilians. With the loophole this time being technically they haven't surrendered, even though they are retreating. There has been no official surrender, so technically they're still combatants. So in the eyes of wartime law, they can fire on them. But if she follows his order, Tanya is willingly killing fleeing military personnel and civilians. And after having a heated debate with one of her men, she forces him to follow through on the order. I think the worst thing about this is that Tanya goes on about why she's okay with doing this. She thinks that the Empire should kill everybody who stands against them, so that way they won't rise against them later and start another war. And this isn't for the Empire's benefit, no. She just doesn't want to go to war again. She just wants to live a life of peace, and if that means killing a lot of people to achieve that, she's willing to do it. Essentially, the bitch is crazy, but also complex, because again, at the end of the day, she is at war. She does only want to survive, which is supposed to make us, the viewers, feel very conflicted when she does terrible shit like that. Because at the end of the day, Tanya isn't your typical isekai villain. She's not driven by chaos or grand evil plans. She's just human. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you. If you enjoyed this video, check these out.